All right, so at this time, I will call the Public Works Commission meeting to order on Wednesday, November 1st, 2023. Dan, you've noted the roll? Yes. And let's see, approval of minutes from the October 4th.
I'll move approval.
Second. Any discussion or changes? Nope. Seeing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
The motion passes. And do we have any appearances from the public this evening? Anyone want to speak?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We will close the appearance section, and we have no unfinished business. New business. 6A, discussion and consideration of requested changes to future easements and revision to the previously approved certified survey map for the new development at 4601, 4613 Monona Drive. So,
Thank you. Dan, I've seen a couple of folks joined. That's going to be, they're associated with this. Thank you. So I think if I may, at this point I would turn it over to the applicant to kind of introduce it. We have Matthew Mertos here, who's with Compass Properties, who's the developer of the project. We also have James Caput as well, who is with JT Engineering and prepared the CSM. So if I could have those folks introduce the application and kind of run through some of the highlights, I can start with those from the staff side as well after that.
Sure. Well, name is Matthew Mertos, here with Compass Properties. The site here being discussed is the 4600 block of Monona Drive. We're proposing a 98 unit market rate mixed use building on the site, and I guess part of that development requires new survey combining the six parcels, 4 lots on the site together.
Yeah, as Matt said, we are combining the entire block into what will essentially be a single lot. And as part of that, we have some existing encumbrances granted to the city of Monona that are currently unoccupied that we are here to also discuss as part of the CSM process.
Doug, can you cover what this all means, what easements we're talking about, fire hydrants, things like that, just to make sure that.
Okay, absolutely. So good evening, everybody. The requester is the certified survey map for the parcels 4601 to 4613 Monona Drive. As mentioned, it's the entire block bound by Springhaven to the northwest, Eden Avenue to the south. The proposal here is to consolidate the existing block into one, allowing for the construction of the 98 unit mixed use development on the site. A formal hearing for this certified survey map, just given scheduling, was held last week at the Planning Commission on October 23rd, where a recommendation was made to City Council this be approved with conditions. You may remember this from a previous discussion. The 2-lot CSM was formally recommended by this body back in late 2022, although never recorded. A change in design project has necessitated this redesign of the certified survey map. So the parcels in question are all part of Block 9 of the Springhaven plat and have not previously been subdivided. The proposed lot encompassing the entire block is just over 2.2 acres in size. The site will be accessible directly from West Dean as well as Springhaven, with the curb cuts proposed to be closed on along both Monona Drive as well as Avenue to the west. As mentioned, a number of easements are to be considered as part of the CSM process. There was previous discussion with this body again, regarding the street parking along Springhaven, which is the northern end of the site. Plan really is to keep those in a very similar condition than as you see today. Really with them moving, the alignment of those would move slightly just given the site. But there would still be a sidewalk that would be maintained. There would still be public parking there. So those the access and parking easements is shown on sheet 3. That would be is proposed to be granted by the city. Additionally, there is also the northern sidewalk along sort of Springhaven, sort of running parallel to that. That would be on private property with another access easement listed granted to the city for public use of this 6-foot wide sidewalk. Additionally, the applicant will be is proposing to construct sidewalks along Gordon Avenue. These would be within the right of way, being shown on the plans, would be built to city specifications, and it was already discussed at 5 with the street trees, working with the city's arborist, in coordination with those to improve the western side of the site, and that portion there as well. As mentioned again, there are a couple of public fire hydrants that are present on the block. These were not shown on sheet 3. This was brought up last week at Planning Commission. I think the applicant can certainly address those. This was discussed back in 2022 with the recommendation that these not be vacated, the easements for these, with obviously public or private hydrants being the main point of discussion there. So that was certainly discussed at Planning Commission level, and they reference back to Public Works. I'm really looking for the lead from that. And finally, the applicant is proposing to release one city access and utility easement in the middle of the block. It's my understanding from a couple of Planning Commission members, this is mainly related to the reconstruction of Monona Drive, specifically the bank drive-through area, with the closure of that side of the block along Monona Drive would no longer be necessary. So a few different easements and sort of details to be figured out here. The recommendation from the Planning Commission was really that this be certainly considered by Public Works Committee, but also coordinating in conjunction with the city attorney as well for any of the details and the documents. So certainly this evening we're looking for discussion of the proposed certified survey map, the access and parking easements along Springhaven for the development, sidewalk along Springhaven, the sidewalk, the pre-existing access utility easements, as well as the block access utility.
Doug, did you just say the request is to remove the public utility easements?
That was the one portion that was mid-block that was shown that I believe is associated with the drive-through.
Right, okay, that has, it's on the one where it says lot 1, access and utility easement, the rectangular portion, that's what you're referring to, but not the fire hydrant easement, correct? Or not the fire hydrant locations.
Okay, that's correct. There's the mid-block that I believe is, I believe there was support for that. That was not support for the hydrants specifically. It would be the separate portion. As you can see, much smaller access utility easements running sort of the side.
So the items that the Public Works Committee approved back in November 2nd of 2022, those remain with this request?
They do, and it's really clarifying those details because at least to my read, and I was corrected by the applicant at the Planning Commission, but it was really confirming that the hydrants remain public, that these would not be being released, and that would be as recommended back in 2022.
If I may, there are 4 total easements. 3 of them are small. You can see 2 of them in the southeast corner. It's labeled unplatted town hall lot by Dean and Monona Drive. The one, I guess, to the right, or the higher one that's along Monona Drive, is currently occupied by a hydrant. The one that would be along Dean Avenue is empty of anything right now pertaining to city utilities. I believe it's just a grassy area of the lot. And the other occupied easement is all the way up near Springhaven. It is along Monona Drive in what is currently lot 1 of the block. I think it's dimensioned like about 10 feet by 6 or 7 feet, and that is occupied by a hydrant. The large rectangular lot or easement shown in lot 4. And it's about 27 feet in height, I believe we have it dimensioned, is almost exclusive or is exclusively used for shared access for lot 3 because there was a sports bar, and lot 4 is owned by BMO Harris, and they wanted to reduce the access to and from Monona Drive. So the Monona Drive project consolidated the access to one driveway and acquired that easement to allow folks to continue to come off of Monona Drive and access the business on lot 3. That will no longer be necessary with this proposed development.
So the one on lot 8 at the bottom on Dean Avenue in the middle has nothing on it. Does that still remain an easement?
The easements shown kind of in the center of the block in lot 8 are all telecom easements. The empty city one is to the right about if you just follow Dean Avenue to the right when it starts to make like the step ladder.
Yeah.
In the boundary, that's the empty one for the city.
Does that remain an easement then in this proposal?
We would like to remove it, but I think we are open. It's not a necessity that we do so. And simply because it is not occupied at this time.
If I may,
Yes.
just add to that, I believe. It may not be historically why it was there, but I believe there's a landmark plaque that owing to the old town hall that is very close to that. That could be the reason for an easement in this sort of dimension. It seems to align. Obviously, there's the Monona Drive wall there, sort of the landscaping wall, effectively. There is this small boulder plaque. I'm not sure of exactly where it's located, but that comes to mind.
It sits kind of if you were to go one stair up and it sort of makes an arrow pointing outward at the curb return. It's halfway between the two easements. That would be about where the boulder is on the public right of way. I believe that's why you see that stepped area. It was purchased to encapsulate the sign, and then the boulder sits kind of in the middle of the sign.
And then the idea is we're gonna keep that there, right?
That's
remove it during construction and then put it back.
That's my understanding.
Okay. Any other questions, concerns, contributions?
So Doug, is the committee recommending approval based on what you have on page 2, where it said recommendation, the 5 items there? Is that what you're seeking?
Yes, so certainly the consolidation of the one lot certified survey map, the access and parking easement that was already discussed, and the applicant, please correct me if I'm speaking out of line here. The access parking easement along Spring Haven, that was again from 2022. A 6-foot sidewalk access for the benefit of the public along Spring Haven, given this sidewalk is going to be created on private property. It would be, I think instead of coordination, it would be maintaining the 3 existing access utility easements. The smaller ones, they can be clarified if the committee so chooses. And then certainly the release of the mid-rock. So yes. So yes, I think just with very small tweaks, it would be those 5 items forwarded in the staff memo.
Any other comments or questions for the registrants or for Doug?
So I'd make a motion. I appreciate the summary, a motion of approval of those 5 points with whatever wording changes, because it says possible release. It would actually be release.
Release. Okay, so noted that the motion is to release. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Any further discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
And the motion passes. Thanks, Doug. Thank you. Right, then B, discussion of turning movements and direction of travel options that would best accommodate future traffic on Springhaven Avenue as a result of plan redevelopment in 2024. Now, this came up, we discussed with the plan commission, we discussed movement on Springhaven with the increase, with potential increase in traffic and difficulty that folks might have trying to make a left turn onto Menard Drive, post construction. So, really wanted to have a discussion about this, see what thoughts are about either turning this into a one-way street, having it be left turn only, or any combination of those things. So,
It would be difficult to take a right hand to go.
and go, hold on. Wait. Yeah, sorry, yes, yeah, yes. Anyway, yeah. Any thoughts?
Is the item in our packet, which is from Appleton, is that to show what it would look like if we made it a right turn only?
Yeah, similar to that. If you prohibited left turns going north on Memorial Drive, you would have, like a right turn only pork chop. Similar to that, it would have to be engineered, but it kind of gives you an idea if the city, wants to do something like that. I don't know if you prohibit left turns at certain times, and the signage is installed, I don't know what the habits of the drivers would do, if they would make those left turns anyway. But if you put those curved pork chops in, it kind of guides them to the place if that's what you want, so.
Right.
Which access, ingress, egress to the building outside of Springhaven, right? That's not the only street that can access this. What I'm thinking is if people can only turn right. Anyone who wants to turn left, is you're now forcing those people onto Gordon. Or other streets. So that they can make a left. But if they can exit on Dean, then it might take it. So it's a question. His question is, do they have ingress egress on D, if I read correctly, right? Not Winona Drive, not on Gordon, but on Springhaven.
So not on D. Right?
Not on D.
I don't see, no, right, they can't access the development. Yes, they can. Oh, yeah,
Yeah,
they
they
can. Yes, they can. They can access the land.
Yeah, I can add to that if that's
Yes.
helpful. The sheet C100 that's included in the packet for the civil plans shows a north-south travel lane, almost if you will, through the site that allows for traffic sort of entering and exiting Springhaven as well as Dean. And then the plan is this development is proposed to be anchored by the BMO Harris Bank, so there would be 3 drive-through lanes, kind of choking up to 2 to exit onto Dean as well. So I think some of the thinking here would be, of course, the Dean is light controlled, whereas Springhaven is not. So I think there'd been some discussion at Plan Commission, some resident comments as well that sort of brought this to the attention.
It would be easier.
Excuse me, but then didn't we also discuss the possibility of the egress out of the building onto Springhaven? That if the potentially that Springhaven would be one way as well? Discuss that as a possibility so that with the intent of keeping traffic from using Gordon or not?
I think it had come up. I think there was a little bit of an overlap between one-way right turn only onto the drive. There was sort of I think different comments for different items there. There are
discuss.
Yes, yeah. There are different, certainly some curb cuts, I believe, on Springhaven to the north, some of the residences there. And I think, at least my understanding, I could be wrong, but I think the main thinking here was sort of queuing distance. Let's say somebody's trying to make a left turn off Springhaven onto the drive. Struggling, there's a lot of southbound traffic. It's going to back up towards the development, maybe onto Gordon. But I think the two have been used somewhat interchangeably. I think one way or right turn, but certainly, I think looking for discussions.
There's a curve cuts there. Well, here there's a garage.
Well,
So.
so I mean, one of the things to consider is if you make it a right turn only and you put this pork chop in there, then you're also in effect prohibiting a left turn off of
Middle drive.
northbound traffic.
Yeah.
On Middle Drive. And I don't know if that's desirable with respect to I'm trying to figure out how you get into the bank. Or that's not affected, is it? Or is it?
No, just the bank would become D.
Right.
So if the road is made one way, is it made one way eastbound or westbound?
Mhm.
What was the discussion at plan commission?
I think a lot of this originated from concerns about Gordon, so I would imagine that it would be one way heading towards the drive, heading eastbound rather than
So then there
westbound.
wouldn't be any left turns anyway going on to Spring Haven,
No,
just one way.
Yeah.
eastbound.
Okay,
yeah, we did discuss that one way situation, and that was in part to try and better control traffic on.
so folks are not cutting
Mhm.
over to Gordon
Yes.
from Spring Haven
Yeah.
off Monona Drive.
So I included this sheet in the packet to show you the frontage road that's north of Spring Haven along the road of businesses. So if we don't have a control, meaning if there's left turns allowed from Spring Haven going north on Monona Drive, these automobiles, you might have a hard time getting out if there's traffic stacked on Spring Haven when they go north or south.
Right,
So, I just want you to all keep that in the back of your mind. I don't know how busy this gets. I don't know if the traffic impact analysis covered that the developer did. So. Yeah, is that a laundromat?
Yep,
That's
that's
on
on
it.
it, on the street there, in the laundry, yeah. Parking's a struggle there.
Yeah,
And it's hard for me to imagine that Spring Haven is a highly traveled road.
Given that it's commercial on both sides. It's,
Yeah, it looks like one residential garage that accesses Spring Haven.
I guess what we don't know is. Does Gordon traffic use Spring Haven to access the drive?
Well, so
That might-
I like the concept of the pork chop, as you called it, that the official term. And that to me makes sense. The thing I'm thinking here is that we are now, anyone who wants to turn left is forced to go to Dean.
With a
And
control
given
light, yeah.
with a controlled light. And whether this is a legitimate concern or not, it's gonna happen where you're gonna have people stacked up in the park and everybody waiting to turn left. That's the only way you can turn left is through Dean. Outside of maybe hanging a right on Dean and going down Gordon and going all the way down and maybe to Cold Spring or something.
Well, on the one hand, it would be wonderful to know about the traffic left turning on Spring Haven Avenue now, but on the other hand, I think the proposal is because there's gonna be more traffic.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's hard to predict.
Everybody's living there.
That's not necessarily, I mean, it's for discussion, obviously, because we're anticipating more traffic and how should we handle it?
So
So,
in
well-
essence, this would push more traffic to Bean, and I think that's where the problem is, would be. Right,
For traffic that wants to go north,
right,
they would be pushed to Dean or
that's not an easy left turn off Dean, I know. I mean, it's a short life there. I guess that would change, but. That gets pretty backed up as it is now.
yeah, they would, City of Madison would most likely have to be brought in. Once the traffic pattern established,
right.
so they can do the timing of the lights.
Yeah.
but I mean, another thing to consider, because it looks, I'm just looking at an aerial Google map here of that. It looks like you could make the left turn lane longer on our part of Dean. To accommodate stacked traffic when you need to.
You mean like 2 lanes turning left? Is that what you mean?
No,
Oh,
no,
okay.
just as it is right now, it actually
Oh, yeah. you-
Oh.
looks like it only accommodates with so many cars, you know, and then
Right.
it kind of pushes into
Yeah.
a one lane each
That's
way.
right.
So, but it seems like that's a problem we're solving anyway, and one concern that we might want to consider
Mhm. The
is that if you have people trying to turn left off of Spring Haven onto Monona Drive, that is really close to the high school there. And at the time of day when this is all a problem, well, in the morning, I think the potential for chaos is high. And having people trying to cut through on Spring Haven to avoid a pileup on Dean, when you've got all the kids crossing the street in that area there, I mean, that just seems, it's a tough sight line without the pedestrians. And
Where's the next light to the north of Spring Haven? Is
Cold
that
Spring.
Cold Spring. So, in essence, the traffic for. Oh, you're making it one way going that way. Never mind.
And,
That wouldn't help.
and Dan just, if anyone missed it, Dan just stated that that left turn lane can extend all the way to the intersection, D.
okay,
It seems like we have unknowns about what's gonna happen to traffic, but that if you direct it to Dean, you've got more ability to fix it than you do at Spring Haven. Because you can change the light, you can change
The lane,
the lane, but if you keep it at Spring Haven and it begins to back up, you don't have many alternatives other than making it right turn only in the future.
But wouldn't you have less cars there than you would on Dean? There's a lot of cars that travel Dean now.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And we can't predict what the new residents are gonna wanna do to go north on Monona, Spring Haven.
How many units are in the new complex?
98.
Is this mixed use?
It is, yes. So there would be, as part of the proposal, sort of a 5,000 square foot BMO Harris Bank at the southeast corner, a cafe at the northeast corner closest to Spring Haven and Dean, and then big business incubator space as well, right around 1,000 square feet. So some commercial uses certainly, and I'd say the cafe and the bank, which is biggest uses.
but there's no tenant for the cafe space as of yet.
Correct.
So,
Going with the Port Cup idea of leaving Spring Haven, that's two-way, not one-way. To me, makes the most sense, because you're allowing an alternative if you couldn't get backed up. But, you know, if you're willing to accept the fact that they're gonna be driving out to Gordon and to
That's in your.
wherever from that point. But it gives you more flexibility now.
and that's true, because if there's two controlled lights, somebody's gonna drive down Gordon anyway and try to go to Colton Way, right?
Right.
Right, yeah.
So it's sort of like a pressure valve.
Yeah.
If Dean is backed up, you can always go out. Spring Haven to Gordon.
So,
What's the timing for this decision? In terms of when it needs to be made, given the plans as we go forward.
that would be a you question.
I think we have plenty of time. I mean, once construction starts, probably be 1.5 years before,
I'd say between 12 and 18 months.
yeah, so we've got quite a bit of time to make this decision. But it makes sense to start talking about it now because we have a process to go through. City council. Would it have to go to the plan commission for anything on your end?
Not that I see if it's in the right of way.
And then I'd have to check with Madison. I'm not sure, I believe there's leak detectors on Dean at Monona Drive. So then all that would have to be, if there is, then all that would have to be done is adjust the timing sequence. And then as far as extending the left turn lane on Dean, our crews can do that. It's just grinding off the current markings and reestablishing them. Not a lot cost wise for signage. I think the construction, if this committee and city council decides on a pork chop, the construction of that would occur along with any modifications in the development.
So is that a given with the pork chop that it's a one way?
It would be a right in, right out. If you did that.
Okay. Yeah. So, yeah.
Is there any concern with snow removal for pork chops like that? You're piling in the middle of the sidewalk.
No, the snow would be cleared along the sidewalk. Our crew would do that on the pork chop.
So the proposal kind of on the table, you said it, well, let's just leave it two-way, but put a pork chop there for right turn.
You would, if you did that, it would be a right turn in and a right turn out.
Right, from the north, yeah.
Yeah, and then like Chad had mentioned before, that would mean no northbound left turns.
Right.
From Winona Drive to Spring Haven. They'd have to go around the block.
Which then puts more traffic on board.
Right.
Yeah,
Unless they turn in at D.
indeed.
At Dean, yeah. And then from Dean, they can access the development driveway before they get to go
And the bank.
and the bank. So, I mean, if we can, if this committee wants, we could have one of the city's traffic engineers look at it on our behalf and give us a recommendation to help us out. Whether it be Strand, MSA, or Becker. Seeing as though we have a lot of time, that might be something that we ask for.
I like that.
Yeah, I like.
Yeah.
So,
This could be nice.
yeah, this is a big decision.
We want to get it ready.
Yeah.
You know, the whole point was just obviously discuss it.
Yep.
Come to.
Let's do the table.
Yep.
I will reach out to one of our engineers and get a proposal. And then I believe the charge is have them review one way and write in, write out. And any other recommendations that they would come up with, we'll bring them in and.
We're helping a traffic circle, right?
I was, put your name on that. Just kidding.
Would they make a recommendation or would they do pros and cons of alternatives?
I would ask them for pros and cons of
Yeah.
alternatives. I guess I don't want to limit their scope to just write in, write out one
Right,
way.
right,
Let's see what they all can come up with.
Anyone listening to the traffic circle thing was a joke. Just-
So, all right. I'll get that going.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right. And then Rachel's report.
Operations reports. Nothing to add to that. Lead trucks are out in full force this week, all lead trucks and stuff.
Thanks.
That's
Thanks for coming, everyone.
That's about it.
One quick second.
Yeah.
Were you guys here for what we were talking about last time?
Yeah,
Okay.
we were asked to come back or told we could come back to
Oh,
hear
yeah.
more about it.
Gotcha, but it's not on the agenda this time.
That's what we understand now.
Oh, okay.
But, you know, I was told by several members of the committee we should come back.
Oh,
today.
If it was on the.
if it was on the agenda,
Yeah.
sorry.
That was not a
Okay.
thing that was relayed.
Well, the agenda wasn't set at the October meeting.
Yeah, I don't
Oh,
know.
yeah, because we
Yeah.
sent this to public, sorry, just so you know, we sent the topic to public safety.
Okay,
Because we were informed by the police department that they need to be part of the discussion as well.
yeah,
So they're gonna discuss something and then if it comes back to us, it comes back to us. It's-
okay.
Yeah,
And then you'd see it on the agenda.
yeah, it would be on the agenda. So I would look at the agendas online because that has all the info about what's being discussed at the meetings. So,
Okay.
and
I just went by word of mouth there. I guess that was
Gotcha.
my mistake.
yeah, sorry about that. You guys came out
Several members told me.
for, yes, so,
Okay. All right, thank you.
thanks.
Referring to apartment.
Yes, yeah. or speed bumps or whatever.
Right.
Yes. Okay. So is there anything else, Dan? I just wanted to. Okay. Does anybody else have anything? Motion to adjourn?
Second.
In favor? All right, sure.
No, just the right length of time.
So, I want tickets for Friday, so.
Yeah.
What's the,
I think so.
school resource officer supposed to come in?
That we don't think.
Yeah, no, I thought I liked you.